Okay. So, bear with me guys, I know it's the end of the night. My name's Nick Lara, and I'm here to present to you 5 ways to improve your presence on LinkedIn. Now, really quickly, just show of hands, how many people here have a LinkedIn profile? Right, so our businesses, pretty much everyone, I'm sure you do, you're just eating. You can raise your hand. So let's say maybe some of you don't, right? So let's jump right in. So what is LinkedIn, right? So you can't increase your web presence if you're not a user. So let's start with the most basic fundamental. So LinkedIn is actually a social networking website created for professionals back in December 2002. It was made as a social platform to bring people who wanted to network in a professional capacity together. So if you're not a user and you are a professional, you should absolutely create a profile, one, to generate, increase your presence there. So really quickly, I just have a quick chart here. This is according to an Alexa ranking. Alexa is a software owned by, a proprietary software owned and developed by Amazon that kind of captures unique visits to social media websites. So this is based on an actual Alexa 2016 ranking. And if you see here, on the y-axis here, we have, this chart is actually representing unique monthly visitors to different various social platforms. So along the bottom here on the x-axis, I have, you have Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. So right away, you can derive some of these actual unique visitations are over in the billions already. 1.1 billion for Facebook, 310 million for Twitter, and LinkedIn, while it might look small, 255 million unique visitors per month on this website. So lots of activity, lots of traffic. So according to this, it's the number 4 most used social media platform out of the top 5 platforms. It's got 433 million registered users, and as I said before, 255 million unique visitors per month according to the Alexa software. So, tip number 2. Not all social media is created equal. When you guys think of social media, the first thing you're going to think of is, you know, dog videos, recipes, and do's and don'ts. But this is really a very unique workplace that's derived its own culture, and that's to be a professional culture. Now, I know I have a picture here showing, you know, someone partying versus a professional, right? And one of the things that you want to always remember is that being professional doesn't always necessarily mean you're in a suit and you're this guy or girl. Being professional is relative to the industry and the audience that you're trying to attract and that you're involved with, right? So let's just say quick things to avoid an unprofessional behavior. You went to Vegas, you went to a bachelor party, great. Pictures from it, they don't need to be on LinkedIn. It's your mom's birthday, you had a great celebration, that's fantastic as a person, you know. Again, it doesn't really have a place on LinkedIn. You always kind of want to be professional at all times and kind of act as you would in a normal workplace or with HR or with talent recruiters. Act as you would with them as you would on this website. So that eliminates kind of the obvious, right? No foul language, you want to keep it clean. It's not a place where you want to go and bash or trash talk your fellow employees. You don't want to air out all your work laundry on a website where probably all of your coworkers are viewing your activity on a daily basis. And you also don't want to complain about your job. A lot of people don't like what they do. I get it. But keep it personal. You don't want to air that out because you never know who's going to be looking at your profile or reading kind of your posts and your activity that you're posting online. So with that, those are things you want to avoid. Some things that you want to do, right? You want to be active. You want to increase your presence, like I said. So you can share posts pertaining to your field of work. So if I'm friends or I link up with Jameson and I'm in finance and Jameson's in marketing and he's posting videos of his favorite recipes, I'm going to lose my value, my perceived value in that connection with Jameson. I'm going to say, this guy just posts a lot of stuff. It doesn't really pertain to me. I'm going to unfollow him or on LinkedIn, right? But now let's change the capacity. Let's say I link up with Jameson knowing he's a baker. He's a baker by trade. And he's creating all these fantastic recipes for a restaurant he's working and he's posting them. Now I get it. He's adding value to his posts. It's relative, maybe not relative to finance, but that connection has some type of establishment. Maybe I'm going to go try his latest creation at his bakery. So it's all relative. Again, while you want to keep it professional, you want to make sure you want to stay true to yourself and your industry. Also, join groups in your current projected industry. It's a social networking site. You'll see advertisements all the time for mixers, group events, conferences. Be a part of the discussion. The less active you are on social media, the more results you're going to get. The more activity, the more results you're going to get. So be active, whether it's in your current industry or your projected industry. Let's say you want to change careers. Something else, you're in finance but marketing interests you, or you are an actor and now communications interests you. Start following groups, start talking to those people, gauging their interests, gauging the value, how they perceive their or enjoy their daily work-life balance. And again, that's actively participate in group discussions. And then don't be afraid, if you have some value connections, reach out. Ask someone, send them a message. How you doing? I came across your profile, or you know so-and-so. I'm interested in opportunities at your company. There's a lot of great ways to directly communicate with people without overstepping your boundaries. Know who to communicate to and when to communicate to them. Lions. So this is a very unique acronym to LinkedIn. So social media has this great perseverance that the more followers and the more activity you have, that the more successful you will be. Well, that's not necessarily true. LinkedIn is all about quality, not quantity. There's accounts that are created on LinkedIn. They're called LinkedIn Open Networkers. And these are people who aren't really going to add value to you or endorse you for the things that you need to be endorsed or write you any recommendations, but they're out to just amass connections with as many people as they can. So I would prefer personally to have 2 connections who may have value that they can introduce into my life versus knowing 100 people who I will never meet. They don't know anyone that I know. There's no opportunity with them for me. So it's all how you perceive it. So it's more, the main point on this slide is quality, not quantity, right? Family's great. You're going to connect with your family members and friends. It's inevitable, but you don't want your grandma writing your latest referral of why they think you're the best candidate for job X or job Y, right? You want to get some real perspective from people within your industry to really speak to who you are and your character and your strengths and the value that you can add to an organization. Well, a lot of things that people don't know is endorsements. How many people here have endorsed someone for a skill that they felt they were powerful? Anyone? Okay, so what you might not know is LinkedIn actually builds in algorithms for their advertising based on endorsements. So let's say you endorse someone for, they work in marketing, but they like graphic design, right? And maybe they did that at some point in their career for a brief period. If you endorse them and people keep endorsing, LinkedIn's actually going to custom tailor what they see on their end from an advertisement perspective to how they're being endorsed. So you want to make sure you're not just endorsing people, oh, he endorsed me, so I'll scratch his back, I'm going to scratch mine. You really want to speak to people's character because it's also going to custom tailor their experience when they log in their profile. Number 4, job listings. No other website focuses predominantly on actually not only being a social media platform, but actually having a place where HR and companies can come and actually post job listings. This is one of the things that separates LinkedIn and why it's grown to what it is today against any other social media platform is there's opportunity here to further your career and to meet new people. So if you haven't looked at job listings, I don't know how many of you are actually in the market for a new job, but it's always great and refreshing just to see who's recruiting for what. You never know what opportunities might come your way. I know I've been contacted for InMail from people for various different job activities. It's just a great website. Most people, they'll graduate, I'm sure you guys did the same thing out of undergrad. You graduate college, you become part of the sea of applicants and resumes, and you just send your resumes off into kind of this dead zone where you probably don't hear anything for years to come, and there's really no activity. LinkedIn is designed for resume style formatting. There's HR recruiters that are actually always using this website, talent scouts, agencies, individual companies, all their in-house HR. They're scouting these things all the time. And one of the biggest benefits is LinkedIn is always on even when you're not online. So unlike when you submit your resume to a company, it might die in a pile of paperwork, or it might die in a word search database that you didn't meet the keyword criteria, and you're just off into the abyss. It's not working for you anymore. Well, LinkedIn is working for you. It's a massive window shopping job platform, and you're the window with free advertising. So whether you're on or offline, people are constantly, there's foot traffic coming across your profile, and it'll actually track and give you the information on who's coming to visit, where they're from, and how you rank against your other connections. Number 5, and this is probably one of my most important topics. So I know there's a lot of information here, but what I want you guys to focus on really quickly is, like I said before, it's a big kind of window shopping experience. And you always want to make sure you're at your best. And what a lot of people do, and they do it in their resumes and they do it online, is they tend to just list off things that they've done at their job, right? You worked in finance, you worked in Excel, you did database work, you did analytics. So that's great because it tells you, what that person was responsible for or did, but it doesn't add how they made value. So what I have here is just a quick comparison. You can see on the left, this is actually a snapshot of my personal one, just because it took me a lot of time to tweak it, versus another person who's higher up than me at the company versus theirs. So you see here really quickly, he kind of sums his experience as, well, this is what he's done. But it doesn't tell you much, right? It's just kind of a list. Anybody can list the things that they've done. What you really want to do, and what HR and recruiters and these people who post job listings are looking for, is we know what you did, but how did you create value? What makes you different from another person who also works in Excel and maybe did some sales, right? So you always want to speak and say how you added value to that role. You were one of or two people of a team, and you increased, you didn't just do sales, you drove sales from X million to X million within a certain time period. You're the first person to do something at your job that is now a standard benchmark for everyone. So again, you really just want to kind of make sure you're demonstrating your value and not just listing off your experiences. So with that, to kind of wrap this up in conclusion, the presentation again was to focus on, there's a number of ways that you can increase your presence on LinkedIn and in social media in general. We only hit on 5 today. I encourage you to definitely do some more research and look in if there's something not on here that you haven't seen. There's lots of ways you can make your profile better, make your content better, make better connections. But just to kind of recap, we did, in order to increase your presence, you have to be a member. You have to maintain your professional composure at all times, right? That'd be professional slide. You want to network with people you know and avoid the lions, people who are going to add value to your content. Actively view job listings and stand out and show value and show how you can bring value versus someone who might be competing for a similar position or a posting. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions that you guys may have. No questions?
Excellent. Good stuff. Comments for Nick? Saeed?
Yeah. So at the beginning, I was like, oh, this is awesome. It's going to be 5 points. I'm going to get like an awesome presentation on, 5 practical things. And so I came with that premise. Only thing is I got so much information that I don't even know what the 5 things were anymore because there was just so much on each of the slides. I would have liked if you just gave me a little bit less information and just focused on whatever those 5 were. So that's the only thing. There was a lot of great information in there, but because there was so much on each of the slides, I kind of I got lost a little bit, and at the end, I'm glad you did the conclusion what the 5 things were, but throughout the presentation, I didn't get the start and the end, the middle part didn't connect.
Good point. Of the presentations tonight, are there any that you'd say had too little information? None, right? We rarely make the mistake of too little information. We usually make the mistake of too much information. And that's one reason why I try to stress the conclusion aspect of the content. Think about what your conclusion is and think about eliminating information that you don't need. And this, again, was another example. I think I mentioned this with Jose's presentation. This is a half-day workshop in LinkedIn. You could use all this information and just dissect it slowly. But trying to cram it into a short presentation like this, is a little bit overwhelming. Good point. Daniel?
Just want to comment on you established kind of a connection with us right away, because we all have professional careers, we all have LinkedIn, most of us do. And so you kind of established that right away. And I remember as you kind of went through, you subconsciously created that connection with us such that we trusted almost, or at least I trusted things that you said, to the point where when you had those two images up there with your LinkedIn snapshot and the others, I kind of in my head debated. I could see why someone would say this is better. I could see why someone would say this is better. But I was just waiting to hear what your recommendation was, because I automatically saw you as the authority on this topic. So just to say that the influence that you established all throughout really has a strong presence.
Good comments. All right, this is exactly the discussion that we want to be having. All right, how does this fit in with the important conclusion that we're hearing and what the presenter is trying to tell us, given all the technical information that they're presenting? And you all have done such a great job tonight of continuing to think about that question as we go through these presentations. Live.
Right, just have a general comments for, not only for Abe, but for everyone, is that our presentation is supposed to be between 5 to 7 minutes, but most presenters present more than 10 minutes, even 15 minutes. So maybe it's okay if it is not, but in a real reason, it could be a disaster. Just a comment.
Yes. And I realize that as we're going, that I usually do this class later in the quarter, and it gives me just more time to warm up and more time to remind students to be concise. And usually before, the class before, I'll say, 5 to 7 minutes, even less than 5 minutes is fine. But people tend to want to include more information, and they want to talk longer. But to Lai's point, this could be very problematic if you're spending too much time explaining to someone several levels above you in the company who wants to hear value right away. Al.
Yeah, no, great presentation. I agree. There was a lot of information, and you were in a situation where you had to explain it all. I like the fact how you started and said there's 5 points we're going to cover, and at each point you then drove that up. Now we're on point 1. Now we're on to point 2. This is point 3. So we kept tying it together, and then at the end of the conclusion, you went through it again. So that was helpful to tie all that information together.
Excellent. Alex?
I was going to say I really like the presentation. I don't have LinkedIn, so it was pretty informative to me.
Sure.
So I think speaking from someone that doesn't have it, maybe explaining kind of like some of the functionality briefly, and then kind of going to your point after. Because I guess when you were explaining ways to improve your presence, I was like, I didn't even know. I had no idea LinkedIn can even do that. And then just I guess to reiterate what everyone said, I think sometimes you were kind of promoting LinkedIn, which I also found beneficial, but I think that if you were trying to just stay focused with 5 ways to improving your presence, you could maybe not done so much like promoting it, but I thought it was very good.
Good points. Okay, so speaking of brevity, your assignment for next week is to condense this down to a maximum of 60 seconds and make it just a verbal presentation without slides. That's partly to get you to think about what is the core and what is the essential thing you're trying to communicate, along the lines of the conclusion framework we talked about last week, but also partly because I need something to work with the material we're going to do next week, which is to concentrate on body language. We'll do some eye contact work, we'll do some hand gesture work, we'll do possibly some facial expression work if we have time. And it'll be a little bit more interactive, a little bit more casual. We'll do some acting exercises, and I'll have people engage, and then come back up, and we'll see if that stuff makes a difference. That will be next week. Thank you so much for your focused attention these last 3.5 hours. I appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you all soon.
No, I know. I just want to go home and sleep.
We're good.
You have to work after this?
Oh, sure.
I said, let me go early, but I promise you.
Promise is a promise, don't worry. Bye, good night, guys, I'll see you on Monday.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. We have
I have to
something.
do the homework, I know. I
We
didn't
have
do it.
the assignment one, right?
Yeah,
for marketing?
I'm waiting for my book, I think we have to like read something. It fixed.
Wow.
I'll see you guys.
See you on Monday.
Oh, and that's gonna be a shorter class anyway. And it's gonna be easy for you to just watch the video and get the information. The class next week, but the bottom line is just watch the video, make your comments, which, that's totally shit.
Oh, here. Yeah, condense what we just did today.
You know, I think next
60
week,
seconds summary.
don't worry about
All,
summary.
no power, just, I guess.
There's no assignments due the following week, but you just need to watch the classical video. Because even though
I took
try these techniques to complete the, I think it's a corporate change memo where you're explaining what people like it.
1 to 2 minutes.
I can make that as sensitive as possible. But yeah, so next week you just watch, give us some comments, and then the following week, well, you're like section, watch that video.
So far we have the marketing homework. That's my right.
That's not, and then put a graph. Yeah. Put a picture, put bills. That's a hundred. Nice header footer. All right.
One question, so for, next week, it's not like a submission, so we don't submit anything to Blackboard, it's just like verbal. Okay, okay, all right, thank you.
See you next week.
All right, see you next week.